Okay, 3, 2, 1, lunch.
Turn them, hold them, takes 5 seconds, hold it. Alright, you can let go. You did your job, you did what the Air Force paid you to do, you just joined World War III. Don't do it again. Let it go.
Welcome to the Titan II Missile Museum, where the simple turn of a key could have changed the course of history. Located in the desert of Arizona, the museum is more than just a piece of Cold War history. It's a journey into the time when the world was on edge. The Titan II Missile Museum was opened to public in 1986. After the decommissioning the missile site in 1982, the site was preserved and turned into the museum to educate the public on Cold War history and the role of the Titan II missile in the American nuclear deterrence strategy. Stepping through the museum entrance, we easily transported into the 1960s. Detailed exhibits, all manuals, and hardware immerse visitors in the world of missile maintenance, guidance, and control. This poster of Titan II missile. This site, Complex 5717, earned the nickname Copper Penny due to the color of its desert landscape. This bolt holds the missile during pre-launch. Lately, it explosively released and allowed it for liftoff. The IMU in the Titan II uses gyroscopes and accelerometers to track position and orientation. It provides precise guidance for accurate missile targeting. Here is a schematic explaining the parts of the missile and showing where the computer and other components are located. And here is the computer. And here's the model of the silo. Later we will go there. This is orientation agent for second stage. The newspaper from June 9, 1960s tell about plans for building a silo.
In the height of the Cold War, waiting for the order from the president. We're going to start out with a little 5-minute video about the Cold War and our role in it. Head outside, point out a couple quick things, head down the 55 stairs, level 2 of the complex. 3 buildings buried under the ground. I'll show you what the Air Force built, why we built it. We'll go into the control center, talk about the crews, what our jobs were, simulate the launch of this missile. Then we're going to head down this long cableway into the silo. Silo is a 9-story building. It's 146 feet deep. We'll be on level 2. Inside the silo, there's a separate structure called the launch duct. That's where the missile sits. That's a real deal out there. It's not a fake or mock-up. That's the 10th missile that came off the assembly line. The Titan II is the biggest missile America ever built. It has the biggest warhead we ever put on a missile. That's a 9-megaton thermonuclear device. It's equivalent to 9 million tons of TNT. This bomb is 600 times more powerful than the 2 atomic bombs we dropped on Japan in World War II. For a visual, if you took a train, started loading boxcars full of dynamite, the engines would be 1,500 miles away in Canada. We'd still be loading the last of the boxcars. That's what 9 million tons of TNT looks like. We're not a first strike weapon, strictly retaliatory. Promised the Soviets we'd only launch if they launched against us. So we weren't even necessarily built to fight World War III. We were built to scare the Soviet Union into starting it. Get down there, I'll point out what made it so frightening. Our job, goal, and mission here was peaceful, called Peace Through Deterrence. In fact, this museum isn't a monument to nuclear war or to nuclear weapons. It's a monument to peace and to all the men and the women that have kept that peace over the years.
Welcome to the Titan Missile Museum. You're about to tour Complex 571-7. This site was operational from 1963 to 1982 and was one of 18 silos here in the Tucson area. Before going on the tour, we're going to watch a brief video explaining the Cold War and the part that the Titan II intercontinental ballistic missile played in it. The Cold War developed in the late 1940s after World War II, when distrust rose between the United States and the Soviet Union. These former allies were now in a geopolitical fight for global influence. A key part of the Cold War was an arms race between the world's two superpowers. The focal point of the battle for military superiority was nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them. Both sides developed what became known as a nuclear triad, which is an integrated system of delivering these destructive payloads by air, sea, and land. This meant strategic bombers in the air, submarine-launched ballistic missiles from the sea, and land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles known as ICBMs. The Titan II ICBM that you will see here was part of a second generation of liquid-propelled missiles. The Titan II carried the W-53, a 9-megaton thermonuclear warhead equaling 9 million tons of TNT. For comparison, in World War II, the Allies dropped 3.4 million tons of bombs. Each W-53 had nearly 3 times that equivalent. These weapons are city busters, doomsday devices with world-ending destructive capability. There were 54 Titan II missile sites assigned to 3 active strategic missile wings. There was the 308th Wing near Little Rock, Arkansas, the 381st Wing near Wichita, Kansas, and the 390th Strategic Missile Wing here in southern Arizona. Each wing was made up of 18 silos. A wing was composed of 2 squadrons, each equipped with 9 missile silos. Assigned to the 390th were the 570th and 571st Strategic Missile Squadrons. This silo was assigned to the 571st Squadron. Each silo was in operation 24 hours a day, 365 days a year by a crew of 4, 2 officers and 2 enlisted personnel. Crews were assigned to their silos for 24-hour shifts called alerts. The Titan II missiles sitting in their hardened protected silos with their ability to launch in less than a minute were a credible threat of a retaliatory or second strike against a preemptive nuclear attack. This meant that an aggressor could not expect that a first strike would destroy all the opponent's nuclear strike capability. The aggressor would in return be devastated in a second strike. This is known as mutually assured destruction. If one side launches, then the other will respond, at least as forcefully, ensuring that both countries will be annihilated. This concept was also expressed as peace through deterrence. The theory is that since neither side could win a nuclear war, that neither side would start one. In 1982, the Air Force started deactivating the Titan II missile system as newer ICBM systems came online. The 390th was the first wing to be deactivated. 5 years later, in 1987, the last Titan IIs were deactivated, 24 years after the missile's initial development and deployment. The Cold War continued until 1991, when the Soviet Union dissolved into its member states. In this sense, peace through deterrence was successful, without either side launching a nuclear strike. Before going on the tour, I'd like to cover a few safety items. First, watch your head, especially if you're over 6 feet tall or around 2 meters, because there are many low beams in the silo access tunnel. Secondly, watch your step, especially on the stairs. Keep your eye out for any desert critters inside and outside of the silo, especially around doors and curbs where they like to hide. If you see one, remain calm, don't touch, back away, and let a staff member know and we'll take care of it. Also, please listen to your tour guide and any instructions they have. Also, save any questions until they say that they're ready for them. And lastly, thank you for visiting this National Historic Landmark, which is a window into the past.
All right, folks, if you're visiting us for the first time, you happen to be curious about the terraced hills, those are the tailings from the copper mines. It has nothing to do with us. It's not the dirt from this place. That mine was 8 miles away back in 1962 when this was built. There was no town back then either, not a single house. This was the middle of nowhere. Air Force didn't build these near people. Nobody in their right mind would build a house next to this thing. Soviets had a giant nuclear weapon aimed at this very spot. A year after the silo went in, a town popped up. People didn't know what these were. You showed up when we're operational. The building wouldn't have been here. None of the equipment be up here. All you would have seen was the fence, couple telephone poles, the antenna out front, big tan structure. That's the silo closure door. One single door. It weighs 760 tons, made of steel, filled with concrete, sits over the top, protects a missile from a nearby detonation. That door has to be able to rise up on railroad tracks, slide open in under 19 seconds, even covered in debris. Telephone pole with a crow's nest. It's about 50 feet tall. Double it, that's the height of the Titan II. Triple it, the depth of the silo. 9 megaton bomb sitting in the lobby. If that bomb was live, detonated 14,000 feet above the valley, destroy everything in this valley. From that mountain 10 miles away to the mountains on the other side of Tucson, 30 miles away. Everything in between is gone, wiped completely clean. The only thing left standing intact above ground for as far as you can see is going to be that door. We're going to head down now. Please watch your step. Got to get everybody off the stairs before we can begin because they're so loud, so please keep up the best you can. Right this. All right, folks, we're 35 feet underground. We're on level 2 of the complex. You're in the access portal. The walls are only a foot thick. They never designed it to withstand a detonation. It's all going to cave in on itself. It's your way in, it's your way out. This is where the hardened part of the structure begins. 4 feet of concrete in the walls, 5 feet in the floors and the ceilings. The top 30 feet of that silo is 8 feet thick of concrete, just to hold the weight of the massive door. The entire complex is covered in a 1/4 inch of battleship-grade steel. It acts as a Faraday cage. All of our doors are 1 foot thick steel I-beams, double welded together. They build the surface of the doors, the frames, as neoprene seals, so when these doors are closed, and these doors are always closed, it's virtually airtight in here. This is designed to protect you from a first strike or near miss. Protect you from the radiation, the blast wave, heat wave, electromagnetic pulse, which is a pulse of energy. It shoots out at the speed of light, destroying anything with electronics in it. No more video games, television, telephones, automobiles, electricity, period. The world will be back in the dark ages if and when this ever happens. This will protect you from all of that as long as the bomb the Soviets had aimed at us missed us by more than a mile. They can land a ground burst within a mile. This entire complex will be instantly vaporized. Nothing can withstand the force of one of these bombs. Nothing man has created. I'll explain why as we go. It takes 4 phone calls to gain access. First call from the gate out front. We're here, let us in. They'll electronically open the gate. Drive in, park the truck, get to that door we just walked through. Second phone call's on the outside of the door. We have to get from the first call at the gate, make the second call at the door in under 3 minutes. We normally drove here. During monsoon season, they fly us out in that helicopter, but either way, we could have been attacked or infiltrated on the way. The Air Force didn't want us getting killed standing at the door trying to read off a distress code. So all we needed to do if we were attacked was drag our feet. Slow down, slow walk it. Takes more than 3 minutes to make that next call. No one's going to get in, help will be on the way. Under 3 minutes, they'll buzz the door open. Commander goes into that cage we just walked through up there, called the entrapment area. It's the only camera on the property. You can't come or go at that point unless that crew allows it. Commander locks himself in the cage by himself, was given a top secret code on the Air Force Base in Tucson. Makes the third phone call, reads off the code, lights it on fire. Throwing that red coffee can mounted on the wall up there, burns it, so no one else can ever see it again. If it's the correct code, they'll buzz the cage open, he lets us in. Come down here, make our 4th and final phone call, hit this button on the wall, just like this one. Somebody on the commander's console has the same exact button, they have to hit it the same exact time. If they do, the force still lock this door down, retract, we can manually open up the door at that point. This area is called the blast lock, like an airlock you find on a submarine or spacecraft. All of these doors are electronically paired. Only one door can ever be opened at a time. Each one of our blast doors weighs 6,000 pounds, 3 tons per door. Blast doors 6 and 7 protect us from that near miss. Doors 8 and 9 inside protect us from our own missile, either the launch of the missile or mishap of the missile. Come on in. There's a bench here if anybody likes to sit. We're going to be in here for about 20 minutes or so. All right. Want to help me? Go ahead, sit. You want to help me? Good. All right, folks, we're in the next 3-story building. This building is round on the top, flat on the bottom. It's designed to deflect an overhead blast. Top floor is the crew's quarters. You've been in the Air Force or the military, you know it's not the Hilton, it's the military. There's 2 bunk beds, kitchenette, and a bathroom. Downstairs is the equipment bay. This floor is launch control. This is where we launch from. This is where we spend most of our time. The last thing we need to worry about is a shock wave. A nearby detonation will create an incredible earthquake. It'll make the land above our heads look like waves on the ocean. We need to survive that. Everything critical to launching this missile, the people, the equipment, the missile itself, all on giant springs and shock absorbers. You'll see them everywhere, including all 3 floors of this building. We're not attached to the walls. We're just hanging here by 8 of these massive springs around the room. So in case of that shock wave, the ground around us, shell of the building itself, can all move up and down 1.5 feet, a foot side to side. We should just hang here safe in our little cocoon. 4 crew members, 2 officers, 2 enlisted, here for the next 24 hours. That's our shift. We call it an alert. It's our job to decode secret messages, monitor and maintain the missile in the complex, troubleshoot any problems that arise, keep this place in a state of readiness. That missile has to be ready to fire every second of every day. First crew member is the Missile Combat Crew Commander. You're captain in the Air Force, you're the boss. You're responsible for all of us and all of this for the next 24 hours. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. That order comes through to launch, it's up to the commander here, make sure we launch. You're the Deputy Missile Combat Crew Commander, First or Second Lieutenant. Communication Officer. You have 4 different kinds of radios connected to 7 different antennas you'll see up top side. Redundancy. You're also the Safety Officer, and your most important job is taking care of that clock. There's no wires going to it, it's not electric. Electric clocks are not reliable enough for our needs. It's an 8-day wind-up chronometer. It's been running since 1963. Deputy on duty every Sunday morning winds it. Twice a day, every day. Synchronize that with the atomic clock that's in Boulder, Colorado. Your clock can never be more than 1 second off. This is our launch clock. The launch clock is set to Zulu time. 0 meridian where the time zones start. All our nuclear forces run on Zulu time. It avoids confusion. We don't need to care if it's AM, PM, daylight savings time, because it's the same time for all our nuclear forces, no matter where on Earth they are. Right now, it's about 5:15 in the afternoon for everybody. By military terms, 1,715 hours, no confusion. Last 2 crew members are the enlisted people, the workers, the most technically trained people on the crew. First one is the MFT, Missile Facilities Technician. They take care of the facilities. They keep us alive, keep that missile alive. We have 9 floors out there, jam-packed with anything you think a liquid fuel rocket could need. This person takes care of all that stuff like a jack of all trades. The last crew member is the BMAT, Ballistic Missile Analyst Technician, the computer expert, the electronic technician. That's what I did. I was responsible for all the launch equipment, the missile itself, the guidance system, and the warhead. My job is to make sure the missile works. Sat out there for 20 years. Stick your car in the garage for 20 years, give it a shot, see how you make out. We can't try it, test it, or start it, because if we start up the engines, we started World War III. But from here, I can test everything but the engines. My main job on this crew would be doing a launch. If something goes wrong, it's on my shoulders to run down that cableway, figure out what went wrong, fix it, make it launch, or die trying, whichever one's going to happen first. Some of our equipment, this runs the facilities. My launch equipment, breakers for everything below ground. This is called the MAGAP, Missile Guidance Alignment Checkout Group. This is the interface with the guidance computer that sits on the missile. This thing tells the missile, 1, where it is, to where it's going to go. In order to hit a target somewhere in China or Russia, that missile has to know where true north is at all times. The MAGAC is what shows it. Anybody around my age who knows anything about computers may recognize this as a paper bootstrap. This is how we used to talk to computers. We didn't have a keyboard, a joystick, Windows, we had this. We stole it from the player piano era, from the 1800s. We used it until 1987. This is how we put our targeting coordinates in. The greatest thing about this ancient technology, it'll keep its programming forever, and it's unhackable. This is called the annunciator panel. You'll hear it in a couple minutes. That's our security system. I told you, the only camera on the property is watching the phone in the cage. Make sure nobody has a gun to the commander's head when he's trying to get us in. No cameras up topside, no security either. All we have is these things called tipsies. You'll see them, the little silver poles with the half moons, Doppler radar. Sending out a radio beam. Cross it, we're going to get an alarm. 8 of them guard the silo closure door, 2 of them guard our air supply. You break that beam, alarms are going off, the big gray thing back there in the corner, that's called the blast valve. That valve is connected to our only air shaft. It'll slam closed, it'll cut off our air, so nobody can kill us while we're down here. It also slams closed during a launch or if it detects a nearby detonation, protect us from the radiation. We're not like a submarine, we don't manufacture air here. That valve closes, all we have left to breathe, whatever's left in here. These alarms go off, you get on the phone, call the base. They'll send out a roving 2-person team, see what's going on. No questions asked, use the deadly force. We're not going out there. We don't know what's out there. We're not going to open the doors and let the enemy in. They'll come. They're never more than 20 minutes away if we really need them. This panel is our fail-safe. Every nuclear weapon has a fail-safe. The Air Force installed that to stop an inadvertent launch, either accidental, a crew that went crazy, or a crew that had been infiltrated. It's called the butterfly control valve lock. It's just a combination lock. Connected to this. This is a cutaway of a butterfly valve. It just butterflies open and lets the fuels flow. 4 of these valves on the first stage engine, 2 on the oxidizer lines, 2 on the propeller lines. The tiny 2 ones on a hypergolic fuel. Hypergolic means ignites on contact. We don't need a fuse, match, or spark plug to light that rocket on. This valve gets the signals, 4 of them swing open, 2 fuels mix, there's an instant explosion, and we get liftoff. One of the valves has a locking mechanism connected to this. This valve can't open, none of them can open. They can't open, we can't launch. You think you're going to go start World War III on your own someday? Went out there, try to manually make it open. It has an explosive housing, it'll explode. It'll melt closed. A rocket will never launch after that, it's useless. The only way to get it to open is to put that combination in. Now the captain doesn't know it. You don't know it, do you? Deputy doesn't know it and the base doesn't know it. Only Strategic Air Command knows it. You'll only have to see it if the Soviets have launched a nuclear strike, we were ordered to retaliate. 17 million possible combinations, Captain. You going to guess that? Captain, you going to guess that?
So,
No. The answer is no. Because if you try on the 7th wrong try, that'll melt down. It'll never work again. We're no longer in a state of readiness. You're no longer a captain in the Air Force. We ain't going near this thing. It has a seal. It's the only thing connected to the outside world. This silo's unhackable, but if we touch a dial, the base knows about it and you're in trouble. Typical day of work, 7 in the morning, all the missile crews meet at this top secret bunker on the base in Tucson. They give us a top secret briefing. Talk to us about anything going on around the world they think we should know about. Troop movement, military buildup, political problems. At the end of the meeting, jump in our trucks, drive out to the silos, replace the crews who were there for 24 hours. They take our truck, they drive back, we seal ourselves in. First thing we do, check everything. Go through this place with a fine-tooth comb. Takes 4 hours. 12 hours later, we get up, do it again. Twice a day, every day, this place has gone through head to toe looking for problems. That'll chew up 8 out of our 24-hour shift. It gives us 16 hours to go. You're going to see signs painted on the walls. No loan zone, SAC 2-man policy. You ever hear of the buddy system for like swimming? This is a buddy system for working with nuclear weapons. It's about safety. It's about trust. I'm watching you, lady. You're watching me. You go back there, Captain, you go too. Someone goes out that blast door. Someone's in your hip pocket right next to you. This room is manned every second of every day by at least 1 officer and 1 enlisted. There's always 2 people in here. You can't have anybody sabotaging it, stealing and selling our top secret information, or worse, one of us goes nuts, wants to end the world, they're going to try to launch it. We watch each other. It's like a fishbowl down here. The only place you can be alone, upstairs in the crew's quarters. We each had 4 hours. Go take a nap, cook something to eat. Just get away from the stress, the tension, and the noise of this room for a bit. Say it's 3 in the morning, we've been down here for like 20 hours, we're sealed in. There's no radio, there's no television, there's no news. We lock those doors behind us, we've locked out all access to the world. No idea what's going on up there. All we know, what the Air Force decides to tell us, comes from these 2 speakers connected to all your radio. The top speaker is connected to Strategic Air Command Headquarters, Omaha, Nebraska. Bottom speaker is connected to the 15th Air Force Headquarters, Riverside, California. If the Soviets had launched a nuclear strike, destroyed that base, we'll get the message from the other one. You destroy that one too, wipe out Washington, D.C., kill the president. We have a flying command post, codenamed Looking Glass. We refer to it as a doomsday plane. Every second of every day, there are generals and admirals in the skies over America, safe from a nuclear attack. They can give us the orders to retaliate, combinations we need to launch. They're always up there, folks, up to right this second. Strategic Air Command. They were in charge of all our nuclear weapons. Doesn't matter what branch of the service. So they send out a message that goes out to all of us at the same time. The Titan IIs, the Minutemen missiles, all the bombers, all our nuclear submarines. Message may be for one of them, may be for us. It could be a test, could be a simulation. We don't know, they all sound the same. So until we get the message, write it down and then decode it, we're not sure what's going on. But crews are trained to believe. You hear this alarm you're about to hear, it means it could be World War III. You better bank on it. Drop what you're doing. Get the control center. Decode the message. Figure out what's going on. First thought goes through a crew member's mind when this thing goes off. Oh my God, this is it. Every time that alarm goes off, you literally jump out of your skin because we've been trained to believe this is it. Now, it can also be pretty boring down here. 4 of us down here for 24 hours staring at each other. Basically just sitting here, waiting for an order to come from that speaker from the president, tell us to end the world, hoping it never does. But the boredom is punctuated by moments of sheer terror every time this goes off. That is a preamble to an emergency action message. All your radios are going off. Captain has a top secret emergency action message book, so does our deputy. Crack it open, there's a couple top secret forms in here. They each have a grease pencil. They're going to read off a 41-character message. You're both going to copy it down in your books. Then you exchange your books, they'll repeat the message, you copy it down again. Then you put the two books together and you make sure they're exactly the same. When it comes to nuclear weapons in America, 2 people need to agree to do anything. Not even a president can run off and make some crazy decision on his own. People have to agree with him. Part of our checks and balances. We're going to decode this. Unfortunately for us today, I guarantee this is the one message no crew member ever wanted to receive. This is the real deal. There's only 2 places we can get a launch order from. One is the president, and if he's dead, the doomsday plane. We have to make sure it came from one of those 2 sources. We need to authenticate this message. This now allows us to go to that red safe. That's our emergency war order safe, or our go-to-war safe. One of the most top-secret documents in America was held in that safe. It's called the PSYOPs, our nuclear battle plans. The battle plans for every nuclear weapon America possessed and what to do with them was held in that safe. That book is incredibly top secret. It's the most top secret thing about this place. It's still top secret to this day. We guarded that book with our lives. Gonna pull that book out, take out 24 of these authenticator cards that are kept in there. Choose the one that corresponds to the first 2 characters of that message. Say it's this one, Delta Foxtrot. These were made out of hard plastic. We called it the cookie. Crack open the cookie. Pull out the authenticator card. You ever hear of the nuclear football? Officer follows around the president 24/7, has a briefcase handcuffed to him with the launch codes in it. This is what's in that briefcase. These are the launch codes. You're going to line that up with both your books. You're going to make sure it lines up exactly. If it does, if you agree, it's authenticated, it came from the president, we've been ordered to launch. Message itself, tell us what page in the PSYOPs book to go to, what battle are we fighting. There's all different scenarios in that book based on what they think the Soviets have already launched status. We're going to that plan. It's going to tell you what time to launch. You take your grease pencil, write the time with big numbers across the face of your clock so we don't make a mistake. This is synchronized to the second. There are 54 Titan IIs about to fly over the North Pole. There are 1,000 Minutemen missiles going over the North Pole. All our nuclear submarines are firing off hundreds of their missiles. All our bombers are getting airborne. They're flying over the North Pole. All can't go at the same time. It has to go exactly when it has to go. That's why your clock has to be so accurate. Captain. The message is going to tell you which of our 3 pre-programmed targets you're aiming at. You're going to punch it in there. and it's going to give you the combination of the butterfly valve for the first time ever. You read it off to me. I'll enter the combination here, break the seal, flip this up, hit that switch. If I get a green light, means they gave me a good code, the butterfly valve's unlocked, and we're about to launch. Now we know a couple other things at this point. We know if we've been ordered to launch by the president, it means the Soviets have already launched. It only takes 30 minutes for a nuclear missile to reach anywhere in America from Russia. That's it, any moment of any day. Right at the very moment, there are 1,600 active nuclear warheads that are never more than 30 minutes away from completely destroying America. In that 30-minute flight, NORAD, North American Air Defense, has to spot the launches on the radar. Take the time to verify their actual missiles, and not a glitch or mistake, which has happened. Then you got to get the President, Joint Chief of Staff, Head of Security Council up in the sky where they're safe, and they need to figure out what's going on. What have the Soviets done? What have they launched at us? What are we going to do? How do we retaliate? What battle are we fighting? Break open the football. Send out the codes to Strategic Air Command, Doomsday Plane, 15th Air Force, and they need to broadcast out over all the radios, the launch codes, the Titan IIs, the Minutemen, the bombers, and the nuclear subs. That's going to take them 20 to 25 minutes to figure all that stuff out at least, before we even get the first message, which gives us a 5-minute warning. It gives us 5 minutes to launch. It gives us 5 minutes left to live here. We're the first target. Russians don't want this thing going back and wiping out an entire city. They're trying to catch us napping. They're trying to catch us still in the silo. We're not going to let that happen. We're launching. You ready? Hang on, don't touch it. All right, here we go. Where do we launch missiles in America with big red buttons, folks? Hollywood, folks, Hollywood. Every movie you ever see, somebody's hitting a big red button. No idea how they came up with that, because the two big red buttons just tell us the doors are open, that's all. In the real world, we use keys. There's a set of keys in that safe. Captain's key goes here. Deputy, your key's over here. Keys are angled. They're 7.5 feet apart, so one person can't reach both. Spring loaded to the off position, just like the ignition in your car. You can't turn one and go turn the other. Have to go exactly at the same time. You ready now? Put your left hand on the keys. Just don't turn them yet. All right, Captain, you're the boss. You're going to give your deputy a countdown. 3, 2, 1, launch. On launch, you got to turn them clockwise. You need to hold them until I tell you to let them go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, launch.
Turn them, hold them. Takes 5 seconds. Hold it. All right, you can let go. You did your job. You did what the Air Force paid you to do. You just joined World War III. Don't do it again. Let it go. Let the key go. The president calls now. It says, stop it. We made a huge mistake. Too bad. There's no loop spun. There's no self-destruct. There's no way to stop it. The keys are turned. This is going to launch. This is the launch sequence. First light, launch enable. Launch enable means everything's been checked. Everything's a go. Second light, batteries activated. 2 batteries sitting on the missile being force-fed electrolyte for the first time. Takes 28 seconds to fill them up. Once they're full, you get ABS power light. That means the batteries are charged. Silos off. The door just lifted up, slid open, went to the tipsy, set off the alarm. Silos wide open now. The next light is guidance go. Guidance computer's talking to the McGack for the last time. It's getting its coordinates. Where's it going? How does it get there? What does it do when it reaches that point? Fire engines. The butterfly valve just opened. The 2 fuels mix. That rocket is lit up out there. All your fire alarms are going off, Captain. When the missile gets to 77% of its full thrust, the 4 explosive bolts that hold it down explode, and the Titan II starts lumbering up out of that silo. 2 seconds later, liftoff. It's on its way. 58 seconds, folks. That's all this takes to launch is 58 seconds, which means it takes less than a minute to end the world. This is what made it so frightening to the Russians. The previous missile, Titan I, they get a message, have to run out there, fill it up with fuel, raise it on the ground on an elevator, try to launch it. That would take a half hour. They only had 5 minutes. They're all vulnerable, they're all targeted, they weren't afraid of them. Titan II with the hyperbolic fuel, as long as that silo stays at 60 degrees at all times, our missile can sit out there fueled up indefinitely, ready to go at a moment's notice. So it only takes us 3 minutes from the time you got the message till it's on its way, which gives us 2 minutes to say our prayers down here, because we know one's incoming. Whether they can hit us or not, we have no idea. But they only have to miss by less than a mile to take us up. First thing, Captain has buttons, puts out all the fires in the silo. Call the base, tell them we had a successful launch. MFT's closing the silo, close your door, trying to buy us some added protection. I need to kill a power with everything below ground but this room. We'll wait it out, see what happens. 3 possibilities. They miss us by 100 miles or so, we're going to try to sit down here for up to 30 days. We're going to wait further orders. We're going to let the radiation dissipate, and then we're going to try to climb out. into what? Whatever's left. We have no idea. Nothing down here tells us what happened out there. They land one within a mile, we're instantly vaporized, it's the end of our problems. Or they miss us by 10, 20, 30 miles away, we're covered in so much debris that we can't get out. We're trapped, we're entombed here forever. We have 30 days of food and water stored in cans down below. At the most, there's 30 days available because the blast valve blows. We only have enough diesel fuel to have light for 2 more hours, and then 4 of us are sitting down here in the dark with 2 pistols and 6 bullets each if we decide to take that route, instead of suffocating to death. But it's no better for you folks. All we know is what's going on with the missile. Headed towards Target 2. Target 2 is the default target. It was always aimed at Target 2. Target 2 was top secret in 1963. It remains top secret to this day because chances are we still have something aimed at Target 2. We didn't know what Target 2 was. We had one of the highest top secret security clearances you can obtain from the government to do this job. We didn't have the need to know. If we actually launch this thing right now, say at Moscow, 30 minutes from now, it's going to kill 12 million people instantly. 12 million people with a turn of a key. They didn't want to put that on the crews. They didn't want to make it any harder than it had to be, turning the keys, knowing who those poor people were. Made a difference. Can't speak for every crew, but my crew, we didn't talk about it. We didn't want to know. All we know is what happens when we get there. Titan 2 is going 800 miles into space over the North Pole. 4 times higher than the space station flies. It hits its apogee, its highest point. Bomb starts arming itself, traveling at 17,000 miles per hour. Travels up to 6,500 miles away and lands on Target 2. Target 2 is set for a ground burst, the original bunker buster. We're going to dig something out of the ground. Missile silo, command center made the bunker under the Kremlin. Bomb detonates right when it hits the ground, instantaneously blowing a crater in the earth, 3/4 of a mile wide, 450 feet deep, vaporizing whatever's there. Looks like it got hit by an asteroid. Now, depending on what the Soviets have done, if they launch a full-scale nuclear attack like everything, we're going to shoot everything right back at them. We're not shooting at their silos now. We're shooting at their cities now. We're going to take the 54 Titan IIs with the 9 million tons of TNT on board. We're going to completely wipe off the face of the earth 54 of the Russians' largest cities and every living creature in them. Retaliation, the doomsday scenario, the end of the world. Captain's going to be ordered to switch from Target 2 to 1 or 3. Targets 1 and 3 are set for an air burst. An air burst is much worse than a ground burst. An air burst is what we use to wipe out entire cities. Now the bomb detonates 14,000 feet above the ground. In 1/1,000,000th of a second, it's going to create a 3-mile wide fireball. That fireball is 10 million degrees. It's brighter than 100 suns. And then at 10 times the speed of sound, shock wave, blast wave, and the heat wave fire out. Just the wind, 7,000 mile per hour blast of wind. That is going to completely wipe out 900 square miles of Earth. 900. The bombs we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki destroyed 5 square miles. This is 900. That's a city 30 miles across. My city, your city, any city. Beijing, Moscow, Washington, instantly gone. Every major American city is instantly gone. Every major city around the world is instantly gone. Whoever lives in those cities, they're gone. And then for miles and miles beyond that, fires are raging, homes are burning, people are igniting. This is a devastating weapon. Earth has never seen anything like this thing. This is what we thought we needed to keep the Soviets at bay. Keep them from starting World War III to keep the peace. The good news, obviously, never got a message or turned the key. The simplest plan you can possibly imagine to keep you all safe is called MAD. Mutually Assured Destruction. I told you the 1,600 warheads aimed at us, right just from Russia. We have 1,600 aimed at them. No way anyone can win a nuclear war. Everybody knows that. So MAD says, as long as everybody knows they can't win one, well, hopefully, no one will ever be crazy enough to try. That's the plan, folks. That's all there is. And it's worked perfectly so far. But it depends on no one out there being crazy enough to try. You see what's going on in the news? We honestly can't say that any longer. In fact, right now, we're closer to a nuclear war today than we've ever been in our history. For 24 years, Titan II is America's biggest baddest deterrent, and all the men and the women that serve down here did our jobs, accomplished our mission of peace through deterrence. The crews we sent out to Vandenberg Air Force Base to test launches out of their silos reported back to the rest of us. They couldn't hear it or feel it take off. That's how isolated this room is from that rocket down the tableway. So you gotta go make sure it's still down there, right?
Let's move from the control point to Titan II missile. This equipment for people who worked on refueling the missile. Every part of the complex was designed for survival. Equipment mounted on springs absorbed shockwaves, ensuring that even a nearby blast wouldn't disable the site's critical functions. Behind thick blast doors, we finally see the Titan II itself, a deactivated relic but no less imposing.
Saturn V, Titan was America's biggest rocket. Built to last just 7 years. Got 24 years out of it as a deterrent, and then for the next 16 years, we used them to launch satellites. The 2 Viking missions to Mars, 2 Voyager missions to Jupiter, Cassini mission to Saturn, a megaton bomb they put on it. They didn't put theirs back in the silo though, they just laid it on the ground outside. That's why this is the only place you can see one. So we had to jump through some extra hoops. You get up topside, you'll see that we propped the door open halfway, put big concrete blocks on the traction lights on, because the Russians used to come every year to inspect it, make sure it can't open any further. Where the pyramid is, we built a big glass dome, and we were forced to cut a hole in our re-entry vehicle, because part of the SALT treaty says, anytime a Russian satellite flies overhead, they have to be able to look down from space into the missile and make sure it doesn't have a warhead. They don't count it against our nuclear arsenal, they check periodically. So when you get up there, you're welcome to go anywhere inside the fence you like. You can spend as much time out there as you like. When you're through, go through the last door on the left. That'll get you back in the...
A long corridor back to the surface. Many springs like this hold this corridor. We are surrounded by support vehicles, each with specific purpose, from re-entry vehicle transporter to a security police jeep. Vehicles like propellant conditioning unit and hydrazine transport tanks were used to handle the dangerous fuels that powers the missile. Hydrazine, a highly toxic substance, was stored and transported with extreme caution. This radar system used to detect and track airborne threats, providing early warning and situational awareness for missile sites. This is a Stage 1 engine for Titan II missile. The butterfly valve that mentioned before mount on this engine. A little smaller stage 2 engine. You can see the thick concrete door that closes silo. Let's take a look deep in the silo and see the Titan II missile from the top. You can see the hole in the warhead, that means there is no nuclear bomb inside. From other side from the silo door you can see two big concrete blocks that preventing silo from full opening. The delay station helped to align the missile within the Earth coordinate system. We are moving back to the museum building. Here you can see another Titan II warhead. And this schema shows how the 9 megaton nuclear bomb located in a Titan II warhead. This example equipment for people who vote here. Before we leave, we learned that the Titan II was featured as a backdrop in the Star Trek First Contact movie in 1996. The Titan II Missile Museum stands as a powerful reminder of the tense period in world history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive in the Titan II Missile Museum, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell button for more videos. See you next time.